These 15-year-old DJ Akademiks allegations ain't going nowhere.
Now, even after the mess that we have all seen DJ Akademiks make by just proving to be one of the weirdest people that you could possibly be, while a lot of times in this era when someone in the public eye gets into controversy, they stay under the spotlight for a few days until everyone gets mad about the next thing. Ak has done enough in these past few days to more than show that this scandal he is in isn't just a one-time thing that is going to pass by in his career like so many other strange and disgusting controversies in the past have. But now, with the way Ak has conducted himself, he has done way too much to ever make anyone forget about the disgusting things he was caught doing, and with the way he has now antagonized so many other people over the years, and from content creators to rappers, now all of DJ Akademiks' rivals have seemingly come out of nowhere like the Avengers and are now doing everything in their power to make sure everyone who has ever heard of him knows just how much of a creep he really is. And overall, with the way Ak is still spiraling and speaking about this situation, what is now clear is that anytime Akademiks tries to come at anyone in the future or just do about anything, this label he has now placed on himself will never leave, and slowly but surely, it is going to wipe away his entire career until there is nothing left. And now before
And this is the crazy part. It's never going to go away. And he's very opinionated. Because actually, this was on a private Discord that he didn't think was going to get out. So he actually got exposed for something like this.
Before we get into how really at this point the place Ak has put himself in has now made things even messier than ever, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. And so now with DJ Akademiks, what really just put into perspective how cooked this guy is and just how bad this entire situation for him has been is that when he was on one of his many live streams in his same old cave with the same old terrible video quality, Ak did something that even for where he is at now, which of course is a low like few other people could ever even try to reach on their worst day, is really just unlike anything else he has ever done, which was of course that in the face of this entire controversy, after having one of the most catastrophic crash outs of all time with a moment like this,
I show too much love, and I could just collect the bag. I show too much love. I show too much love. Yo, I show too much love to ever be called a weirdo.
Ak seemingly took another play out of his buddy Drake's book and went,
No, I didn't like that. Because, like, you show too much love to be called a weirdo. So what you're essentially saying is because people are your friends or because they supposed to morally forget that, like, just forget that you just did something morally wrong. Just because they cool with you on that side, they not supposed to speak on it on this side. No, morally that's wrong. You got to speak up for that. You got to speak up for kids. And I don't care how much love you showing. If you got that on your jacket, that's a stain we ain't going. No, you can't take that stain off, and shouldn't nobody turn the cheek to something like that. It is what it is.
his image was starting to really be dragged to a point where beyond people just being mad, he actually may have been put out of a job. What Ak did was so shocking as he gave somewhat of an apology, which is really something that he has never done besides when Drake forced him to apologize to SZA when they were working on music together and Ak just went way too far when he was talking about her. And now what Ak said in really the second apology he has ever given was still continue to blame everyone and diss all of the people he is against. But then after making sure that he knows that everyone who has been mad at him he still wants beef with, he kinda said he was wrong for saying the things he did to a person who is pretty much half of his age, who he decided it was a good idea to talk to. And now with Ak saying this and with the way he did it, while it's obvious that he's really not sorry and that the only reason he even issued this statement is seemingly because his actual career was on the line and the people and brands he works with were telling him to make things right, and if they didn't, they were going to pull away from him, which of course would then put him out of a job, when you just know the type of person Ak is a little bit. While he is many things, someone who ever thinks they're even a little bit wrong is definitely not one of them. And now, fortunately, despite Ak issuing this statement, most people are not letting up on him and are just seeing through the clear play that he was trying to make here, because it really was so obvious how disingenuous this all was. And when it comes to the severity of Ak's situation, which there has been reports that higher powers are now getting involved and looking into him, which once again, considering his record in the past, would not make this the first time. And really, considering how horrible what Akademiks actually did was, because it just crosses a line that any regular person never would. Saying sorry on stream like this does not show that you actually have changed, and again, especially knowing your past now, it only seems like this is starting to make a pattern. But now beyond Ak's terrible apology.
Yeah, and it do bring the patterns into question, like how you did OD on SZA. You get what I'm saying? You did OD on her. And that wasn't like something crazy at the time. Like, you know, you keep it pushing. But then you look at the other stuff, like the girl who was at your crib and all that, and she said she had allegations against Akademiks, and you're like, But now that's with the little boy. Now it's like, nope. Got a lot going on, and you know, maybe the view of you got changed. Not even maybe, it gotta change.
Which has only ended up making everything even worse for him. What's made this situation even more terrible for Akademiks, and really when we look at his career trajectory, is just making this entire moment poetic in a certain way, is that after Ak has spent years beefing with other people, breaking down their lowest moments, and where it really starts to get shady and why he is in the place he has been in, try to push false narratives or try to run around and make up facts when there is no real evidence to support what he is saying, now everybody who has had beef with Ak is coming out of nowhere and just escalating this thing even more within the same way that he has done to them. And now specifically when it comes to rappers who are now making Ak's controversy even bigger, making him look terrible to the industry, and just making sure that everyone knows what he has done, there has been two rappers who over everybody else have been leading the effort to end Akademiks' career forward, with the first being none other than Meek Mill. And now with Meek and Ak, after Ak has been beefing with him for years, and as Meek has become a bigger and bigger meme over the years to say the very least, Ak has just gotten louder and louder about documenting what he calls Meek's downfall. Meek is now seemingly rejoicing that there is real proof to prove that Ak is one of the worst people you can possibly be. And he is seemingly posting about
Shout out Meek.
It all over social media and warning parents to make sure to remove all communication from Akademiks from their kids. Because Meek really thinks that because of what Ak has done, he should not even be allowed to appear on people's social media screens. And with Meek just fully stating what Ak wants to do in a lot worse words than I am saying, and really with him using this exact controversy Ak is now in to paint his entire character in the way he is, I mean, despite Meek actually kinda having a point, because I don't think anybody would want Ak to be in a position where he can do anything even close to this again. Meek has finally got back at Ak and has painted this image of who he really is and has been successful with it. And I mean, overall, now Meek has finally come out of his beef with DJ Akademiks by handing him an L. And speaking of handing Akademiks L's, beyond Meek, who has really been getting non-stop bother.
Excuse me, I'm still getting over being sick, but beyond this situation, yo, I'm happy for Meek. I'm happy for Meek. He deserved this W. Akademiks was killing Meek for the longest. You get what I'm saying? And Meek's been calling out a lot of stuff. People wasn't listening. But Meek deserved this W, man. He do deserve this W. Come on, he deserved this W. Leave Meek alone, bro.
By Ak for years. The rapper who has really made Ak look like a clown to the public more than anyone else has, in Freddie Gibbs, was having so much fun with this moment. And while Freddie always finds creative and over-the-top ways to troll, like in the past when he released shirts of Akademiks on a Teletubby, which ultimately started one of the greatest jokes of all time, this time around when everybody else is speaking about Ak, Freddie laid off the words and antics and just said one thing to Ak. Which really, considering this situation, this is all that needed to be said. And it's really just funnier that Freddie Gibbs came in to hand Ak his annual L this way instead of doing anything over the top, because again, with this moment saying everything we need to know about Ak and his career and really just exposing him even worse than anything else ever even could, there is nothing Freddie needed to do. And now with Meek, Freddie, and even streamers like Plaqueboy Max, who Ak is in a back and forth with, as all Ak does is sit and pay attention to these things, he of course saw the way they are speeding up the finale to his run that has made hip-hop culture worse in every single way possible, and again, instead of taking this moment to reflect on the fact that you do have some serious issues and really need to be thinking things over.
Yeah, one of the, I mean, I don't know if what he did in the culture, but one of the things he brought to the culture that I didn't like, that he brought over from 50 Cent, is the number game. And I dropped that in a previous video, like just how everything was about numbers. And a lot of artists that are unknown, like when you put all the numbers and all that stuff, it's a lot of albums that'll blow up later on. You don't need to put a stain on it just because it didn't blow up in the first week. And he just became all about the numbers. And I didn't like how he pressed that on the hip hop, because now hip hop is all about numbers. And it's unnecessary, because hip hop is actually an art form with artists. Let them be artists. Relax.
Ak has instead huddled up with his little team who he has briefed for months to do such things like post anything that will strengthen and support Drake's image and take down Kendrick Lamar's, and now is making them just beef with people like Plaqueboy Max, Freddie, and Meek Mill in some of the strangest ways possible. As from Ak now posting all week clips of Plaqueboy Max and his friend who was involved in this entire situation in the first place and trying to spin what he did into something Max is wrong for as well, because according to Ak, he has done the same thing within a way worse fashion, to now with Freddie Gibbs. Akademiks is once again showing how insecure and pathetic of a man he really is, because what he is doing in his latest back and forth with Gibbs is asking his employees to make some of the weirdest posts possible about one of the best rappers out today. as Act's team really went out and claimed such things that the mother of one of Freddie Gibbs' sons almost named him after Akademiks. And now in this time, considering where we are at, I don't think this is the type of narrative Act wants to push, but seriously. From the apology, which was one of the worst attempts at showing regret that I have ever seen, to how he is responding to being called out by other people in his lowest moment, and is now, instead of taking this time to reflect or just do anything different, he is just using all of his efforts to make everybody else look worse. Overall, DJ Akademiks is showing that he is one of the most immature and pathetic people out, and just like the guy who he idolizes over everything in Drake, they are not just delusional about reality and their own problems, but instead of ever trying to make themselves better, they would rather just bring down others with them. And I mean, for Act, there has to be a time where you just get out of that seat and you just realize that things are better than these petty games and antics. But if this entire situation hasn't been a wake-up call for him to just change his act, which it clearly hasn't been, then it's more than obvious that this guy is a bigger loser than any of us could have ever thought. But really, in this time where the entire landscape of hip-hop is changing, between people like Akademiks and Drake compared to the rest of the culture, they are showing that they just don't align with what rap represents, whether we are talking about the actual artists, media personalities, or just the fans and people in general. Really,
just overall, they didn't show that they're not like us. Yeah, they didn't show that they not like us. But I'm gonna tell you something about Akademiks that you gotta really notice about the media and stuff like that, and like the behind the scenes stuff. So with the Black Boy Max situation, it's a few accounts that are just going at him randomly, but they actually allegedly are owned by DJ Akademiks. You gotta remember, this is a media personality, so his way of reacting to all this stuff is to do all this shadow media stuff. So if somebody goes at him, you're going to see a bunch of stuff come out about him because he still is a media guy who does media stuff in the background. You get what I'm saying? The sleight of hand stuff. So everybody that goes at DJ Akademiks, expect for them to have like just weird stuff pop up on the internet. Different sound bites and stuff like that, because at the end of the day, he is a media guy. All right, so it's your boy, What's Up G. Don't forget to drop a like on this. Subscribe if you're new around here. If ain't nobody told you to love y'all, I love y'all. I'm out, y'all.